Hello guys, welcome again to this episode. This is our episode 5 on our series on HTML basics. So in the previous episode, we learned a bit how to encode our HTML documents, and we actually went a bit to explain what encoding means, and we actually saw how the browser interprets the encoded documents and displays the result as we expect it as a web page. And then we learned that HTML was the language we use to do the encoding and document structure, how to structure an HTML document, and therefore how do we get the web pages done. So to summarize a little bit, because I noticed that the video wasn't well recorded, and I would like to kind of remind you a bit what actually I meant in that previous video. So to do that quickly, I'm going to try to explain these points very fast. So the idea is this. Let's take the encoding aspect. So to encode something actually is like simplifying it, transform it into another type of writing or presentation. So let's assume this. Let's take the letter A, for example, of our alphabet. So if I replace this letter A with something else like just this symbol, say dot, and then I add dash. So anytime you see this dot dash, you already know that I'm actually encoding the letter A. So let's say I encode the letter S into something like this. So that is going to be dot, dot, dot. So 3 dots, I'm actually encoding S with the 3 dots. So let's say I take the letter O as well, and then I encode it into something else, which is let's say dash, dash, dash. So I actually have symbols actually that represent the plain text. So converting a plain message into a hidden message, or into a kind of a bit more reduced message, is actually what we call encoding. So it's a replacement. It's basically a replacement, but although we have more sophisticated ways of encoding, but this is a basic way of doing it. So now when we take this simple thing and write a message like this, so let me add a line here. I do something like dot. So a second. So I do something like dot, 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 dash, 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 then dot, dot, dot. We get what we call SOS. So we have a message out of this symbolic. So this kind of symbolic is called the Morse code. All right, this is called the Morse code. So the Morse code is used in this manner in order to encode messages. So when it comes to our website, we have a different code we use, and that code is called the HTML. And right now we could see that we went from the plain message to the encrypted or the encoded message. So this action is called encoding. So the action of taking a plain message into a coded message is called to encode. Let me write this D well. So we've encoded the message here. So we can see that from here we were able to decode it. So we took the plain message, we took the encoded message to a plain message. So this is called decode. So it's actually from this word the word code came from. So instead of saying encoding and decoding, it looks too long. So developers will go by saying we are coders because we code. We actually do the encoding. So let me underline the word code. So our browsers are special software, special applications that know how to decode. So they have the capability of interpreting the code, okay, and then translating it into a plain message like this, like the SOS. But in the case of our browsers, we don't use the Morse language, but we use the particular language that is created for it, which is the HTML. Here you can see. So, and we've learned that writing HTML is quite simple. All you have to do is to know the symbolics that is used there. And an example I gave in that episode was this particular symbolic, like this. And I write a message here like this. Hello, hello. All right, and then I repeat the same symbolic, but this time with a letter / in front, and then I do this. So these particular symbolics in HTML are called the HTML tags. All right, so these are HTML tags. Okay, so let me make it this way so that it looks a bit like an indication. So tags. So in HTML, we don't talk of characters like in the Morse language, we rather talk of tags, right? So in HTML, when the browser sees this particular encoded message, the browser will be able to interpret it and bring out only this message out without showing you the code, and the message will just show up like this, hello. But in this case of the HTML, this particular character will make this text look bold. So this text will look bold on the human eyes, of course. So once the browser does that, so we will be working on HTML files that contain all these types of characters, all these symbolics, these HTML symbolics, and we get them a lot, we get them many in the document, and the result we get is called a web page. So we create what we call a web page, right? A web page. So when you create, usually we will have to create many web pages. For example, the web page that will show the welcome message of your document, the web page that will show the contact information of your business, and so on and so on. So you end up having many web pages, okay? And a set of web pages where they are related to each other in the same location is called a website, right? So it becomes a website. So this is basically what we actually said in the previous video, and in today's video what we are going to do is to explore more of the HTML tags, because that's the most important thing when it comes to writing websites, creating websites, because the more HTML tags you know, the better it is. Because if you want to make a text look bold or italic, you need specific HTML tags to do that. So we need to go for the discovery of HTML tags in order to be able to encode more using HTML. So in today's video, this is what we are going to focus on. We just saw how to make a text bold with HTML by using the B tag, like I said in the previous slide. So the next thing we are going to do is to look at how to make a heading tag. A heading tag is usually like a caption or a title of a section of a document, or of an entire document. So how do we make that? In HTML we use a tag called header, or the heading tag, or simply H. So HX, the X actually is a number that we're going to replace, so it usually goes from 1 to 6. It's actually that's the only numbers we have, so from 1 to 6. So we are going to open a new document. Let's create a new document and actually see how these tags work quickly. So I have my folder where I had my first file from our previous examples. So I'm going to create a new file. So I explained this how to do it. So I'm going to call this file tags.html. So tags.html, yes, I want to change the extension. I explained that in, I think, the first video. So when I double click on this file, it is going to open it with my browser. That's why it took my browser icon, my default browser, actually the Google Chrome browser. So if I double click, it will open it with the browser, and we can see it is currently empty because I didn't enter any content. So if I go back to that file and then now do a right click on it and open it with my favorite text editor, in my case I'm opening with Visual Studio Code. You can go ahead with Notepad++ or Sublime Text, or whatever text editor you like the most. So in my case I prefer Visual Studio Code for now. So I'm opening with it and my document looks empty. And we also said, you saw the structure, the basic structure of an HTML document. It starts with HTML, and we close the HTML tag to show that this is where it starts and where it ends. After the HTML tag, we have the head tag. Inside the head tag, we use another tag called title, and that's not the only tag. Many tags are inside this head tag, usually to give more information on the document to the browser. in order to help the browser in interpreting the document. But the mandatory, the most important tag in here is the title tag, because let's see what it does. Let me write HTML tags. So this message I just wrote, this small text I just wrote, if we refresh the document after saving, of course, the changes, you see that the text appeared, the text I just wrote in the title appeared in the tab of the browser. So it is useful to give indication of the website. So in this case, for example, when I mouse over on this website, which is Neil Patel's website, you can see that it shows the title. It's very useful to indicate what goes on, or what page are you on and what the page does. So we go back to our code. Next to the head tag, after the closing tag of the head, we open the body tag, right? So in between this opening body tag and the closing body tag, we are going to write anything that we want to see in this empty space. So this empty space is actually between the body and body closing tag. So let's say we write the hello tag we just saw in the first slide, which is in between the B tag. So we do hello, and I save it by using Control S. Come and refresh it here, and we see the hello is bold. If you don't believe me, let me remove the B and see what we have to see the difference. So I reload, and then the text becomes plain and normal. So let's go back to the boldness, and we have our text bold. Now let's start the discovery of the next tag, which is the heading tag, which I said is H. So HX, so the X actually is going to be replaced by a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So let's see how these tags work quickly. So let me put this text there, heading 1, and then I will duplicate it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So heading 1, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Of course, I also need to change that in the tag itself so that it shows the right size we need. So 3, 4, 5, and 6, of course. So I entered all these tags, and I've just pressed Control S to save, and I'm going back to the browser to reload it and see how it goes. So we can see our headings, how they work. So the thing is this, you write the H tag and then the number. So, and you can notice that the smaller the number, the bigger the heading, and the bigger the number, the smaller the heading. So for example, let me test with a different text. So let me write the heading 1 here and say, welcome again, my people. So, and I reload, and you can see how it works. The heading 1 I used here is actually showing that the welcome message is kind of title. So that is it with the heading tag. Let's look at the next tag, which is the paragraph tag. The paragraph tag is a P. We use P to do that. Of course, the opening and the closing tag. So this is only the opening tag. And to do that, let's have an example. So I'm going to write P. Okay, so the open, and in between the P tags, I'm going to write the actual paragraph. So in my case, let me enter some dummy text. Right, so this is the dummy text that my text editor has suggested me, a lorem ipsum text. When I reload, I can see my paragraph showing up. And in our case, it doesn't look like a paragraph because the space is too wide and it actually fits in almost one line. And it looks like it's just one sentence. So let me add another one and see what we have. So lorem and save. When I save, you can see that we have 2 paragraphs. So it's still the same effect. So when I reduce the size of the browser, actually it looks a bit interesting, and we can see the effect of paragraph, and you can see automatically it creates this separation in between the 2 paragraphs. That's interesting. And funny enough, you can see that with the heading here, it actually shows the importance of having a heading. It shows that we have a title and then we have a content that it represents. So this is interesting. So the next tag we're going to see is the line break tag. The line break tag actually allows us to break the lines. So for example, if we have this text here and we don't want to continue writing up to here, we can break the line from this place. So it's in between the text. You decide to just cut the text at some point and continue in the next line. So to do that, I'm going to write a different text here. So I'm going to say, so we are the people of code. So if I write we are the people of code and then I want the people of code to go to the next line and I want this we are to start, so I can just do br here in between and then save it. So the spacing here doesn't really matter. The spacing is not what caused the breaking of the line, so it's the actual tag. So if I save and reload, you can see we are the people of code. And then if I remove it, you will see what happens. So the text comes back. So it is important because we usually use it in writings every time. So it is important to know this tag br. So let me write it here, br. So the next tag is the italic tag. This tag is actually used to kind of slant a text, so make it look like it's bending a little bit. So let's say you write a text like this, so let me bend it well, italic. So it's like the text is sleeping. Okay, so this is an italic, and the tag to do that is just I like this. All right, so let's look at it. So we are the people of the code. I'm just going to make the code italic. So no, so let me take the code, write the I tag and put the code inside. So I'm expecting the code to be in that format. So let me reload, and when we reload, indeed we can see that the word code is a bit different. It has changed. So it's kind of trying to bow down and it looks cool. So it is important to emphasize on a particular text. And this tag I is not the only tag that is used to make it. We have, I think, another tag that is used in it, and we'll see it in the next episodes. So our next tag is the underline text portion. So it happens that, for example, you have a document like a letters usually, so you need to underline the title or you need to underline a portion of text in order to show the importance of it. So the tag we use for that is the U tag, just like the word underline. So the U tag. So let's take an example. Let's say this our welcome message. We want to underline it too. So I'm going around it, or let me even add another subtext. This one will be in between the heading 3, right? So in addition, I want to underline it, so I do U, and then I say, okay, and this is a subtitle, right? So this is a subtitle, and when I reload, I can see that the subtitle is having the effect of the heading we added, which is heading 3, and then it also have an underlinement. This is quite interesting. Right, the next tag is the horizontal line. So the horizontal line will actually create a huge line like this from the beginning to the end of the document. And to make that happen, we used the HR tag. HR tag. So horizontal line. So let me use it and see. I'll use it at the end here. So we can have a separation between the text and the next part we are going to make. So HR. Save, reload, and we see the line showing up here. So this is it with these little tags. So you can see that the more you know tags, the more things you can do with HTML documents. You can format nice HTML documents and all this. So In order to practice what we just saw, I've created an example of document we can create, an example of something we can do to format uh, using HTML tags, and it's a small letter to you. So this is the letter. This is how we are going to make it. So we have dear student, letter of congratulations. This message is so. You can see in here, I've indicated that after we write this dear student, we need to break to the next line. And we have the title, and the title has to have an underlinement, and we break to the next line as well. We have our first paragraph, we have our second paragraph, then we have the greetings, and then the sender's name. So we will do that quickly. So we'll start by the dear students aspect. Right, so let me take the text so that it goes faster. So we'll make it here, just after the line. Dear students, we said we need to break the line, and the tag used to break the line is BR. So we add BR in front of it. Then after that, we have the title. I'm taking the text as well, and then I'm pasting the text here. You can see that my text editor will not copy the line you saw over there. So I have to add the line, and we said we use U like underline to write to make the underlinement. So in between U, I add the text, the title. And we saw that after the title, we also need to add a break of line, and we add BR. And then after that, we have our first paragraph. I'm going to copy it as well. So to make a paragraph, we use the P tag, P, and then in between, paste the text. So you can see my text editor is really indenting it well and formatting it well. So the next paragraph, which is the next part of our text, is P again, and I'm taking that, putting it here. And you can see that the other part of our paragraph, the second sentence of our paragraph, is also in italic. So this is a thing, and I indicated the I there to show that we need to use the I tag to make it happen. So I'm going to add I here, and then between I'm pasting it. So the formatting is quite cool. Make it like that. So you come back. So I'm breaking it. Break it from here. All right, so it looks no, you shouldn't take this. Good. So we have the I. The second sentence of this paragraph is in italic. So the next part is yours sincerely, and you can see we need some small space here. Although we know that the paragraph will automatically insert a small space, but still we can increase it by adding some BR as well. And then we have our yours sincerely. Just after the yours sincerely, we need a break of line. So to remember that, you know, it's like writing the word break. So you need to just remove this ek and keep the BR, and you remember that tag quickly. So after that, we have the author's name or the sender's name, which is Zubuli here, and it is in between the B tag, which is the boldness, and to make it bold, so I'll make it B. Then I paste the word inside, the name inside. So we can save it and have a look at what we've got. If we do all well, everything should be looking like the letter. Wow, looks cool. We got it all. So we have the dear student broke the line and we went to the next line. Then we have the letter underlined well, with the title well underlined. After that, we have some space, and we have our first paragraph, the second paragraph. Let me minimize the browser for us to see it well. So we can see the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the first sentence is a normal sentence. The second one is in italic. After that, we got some space, and then we have the yours sincerely, and then the author or the sender's name. And I would like to add some space a little bit after the dear student as well, some more space. So after dear student, this is dear student here. So we have one BR. We can add another BR to increase the space of one more step. So we reload and we have it. So this is quite interesting, and basically this is how we can be formatting documents, because websites are mostly text, images, tables and so on and so forth. So we have different data types, what I call data types. So all these data types, HTML has prepared various tags which can help you manipulate or process, or simply say to format all these different formats of data types. So it's because of that we need to learn more HTML tags. The more HTML tags we learn, the easier it is for us to actually represent the content through our code. So if you have a title, you already know what kind of tag is adequate to represent the title, and so on and so forth, so that you don't repeat yourself and you don't waste time trying to hack things to look some way. So apart from that, we're also going to see that we have what we call semantic HTML, which is write the code in a manner that it sounds like exactly how you want your message to sound. So if you are going to write a heading tag, use heading tag, don't make it bold, don't use bold. You get it? So the bold is for a particular purpose and the heading is a particular purpose. So you write the right tag for the right purpose. So we are going to continue to discover more HTML tags, and then through this series, and also practice from time to time like this and see how it works. So please take your time, try to repeat this small exercise on your own and see how you get it right. Pause the video whenever you want, so that you can look at the code and try to type it yourself. The more you practice, the easier it is going to be. So I really thank you so much for watching this video up to here, and kindly consider liking it, subscribing, if possible, leaving a comment with a feedback or a correction or something else to do. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next episode. Bye.